Welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Breakdown. We have a jam-packed episode coming. First off, the Yankees are living in their own horror movie as Gerrit Cole needs Tommy John surgery. The New York Jets find themselves a new quarterback, and the New York Giants are on the verge of finding themselves a new quarterback. NFL free agency, Yankee nightmare scenario, all coming up right now.
Yes, sir. As always, remember, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on all our social medias, Twitter, Instagram, uh, TikTok, everything.
All right, so let's start off in Yankee land. So now that you've had some days to get used to the Gerrit Cole news and get used to what the Yankees' reality is, overall, just take me through your thoughts about the bad news.
Uh, I mean, I was I was really disappointed when I heard it, obviously, but I'm at this point where I've just been expecting bad things with the Yankees, and we should have seen this coming, especially last year. It seemed like obviously he didn't get it last year, but he almost got it last year, and it seemed like he was almost due to be getting it, whether it was this year or next year or whatever. So I don't know if we should have been as shocked as we were, but it's just like a gut punch with everything that's already been going on with Stanton. You know, Hill might not pitch till July, and it just feels like we're everything that could go wrong is going wrong. We still have a third baseman. We still have question marks with Dominguez in the outfield. We're relying on these young guys to really step up. It just feels like this whole season just has a slew of question marks to begin it.
I mean, yeah, like most Yankee fans, I wouldn't say shocked once you saw the elbow issue. I think a lot of us went to Tommy John, but upset, more stunned at what the reality of the team is this year because you know, after they lost Soto, all you heard was the great pivot they had, how they're the American League favorites, and now it's just without Gerrit Cole in that rotation, um,
Also, like,
just for the whole year.
should we have seen this coming when Cole opted out of his contract and the Yankees basically said, "Okay, like go test the open market," and then he was like, "Okay,
Yeah, I mean,
I'll opt back in." Maybe if
like
he goes to another team and they say, "Oh, we need to give you a physical," they see something up with the elbow, and then at that point,
I I don't think anyone like I think if you just through the history of baseball, guys get Tommy John at some point in their career, most likely. So through that standpoint and the elbow issue, I think most people would have thought, okay, at one point Garrett Cole's gonna have Tommy John, but no fan's gonna go into a year thinking this guy's gonna get Tommy John in March. But that's what the sun because like that's just not how fans think. You're not gonna think your player's gonna get hurt and just completely change the course of the season. But like through your mindset, you're right. Like if you really took a deep dive, this was coming.
yeah, and it just puts us in a weird position because Stroman was almost expendable, and now we kind of need to keep him.
That's why you don't trade him when they.
Hmm.
That's why you don't trade him out of desperation. Now he's back on the team. He's gonna be a prominent part of the team at least until the trade deadline. I would say.
And even because I feel like the heel injury already made him way more important, and now with Cole, I feel
Mhm.
like he might be a part of this team the whole year.
I'm still a little skeptical if they keep him like for the full year because Marcus Stroman, what he's good at, he is a good first half pitcher.
Yeah,
So use him for what he's worth. Use him for innings. Hopefully he could give you something, but I don't expect Marcus Stroman to be a prominent part of the team come later in the year. I just don't. I don't see that.
yeah, I agree with that.
But no, they definitely need guys to step up because Will Warren suddenly that guy is a massive role in the team. Who
Hmm.
he would have thought that he probably's in the minor leagues all year.
Yeah, he's always had the stuff and has always shown it in the minors, and it seemed more last year just like a confidence issue that he just needed to like put that together. And so far
But
in spring he's been pitching well. So
I like I said, I like the upside. I'm with you on that.
I
He
do too.
reminds you of Clark Schmidt. The Yankees have compared him to that. However, I can't say I'm not going to be scared to death anytime he pitches, just off based off last
Oh
year. I
yeah,
mean, when we would watch games last year, you'd see Will Warren start, and you'd be like, "Oh, Yankees lose." That's honestly what it was. He was
yeah,
horrible.
yeah. Maybe he. does what Heel did last year, just takes that next step. Not to
And
the
they need
extent
him.
not to the extent that Heel did, because Heel first half of the year looked like a Cy Young
Oh,
winner.
he's awesome.
So
But with these injuries, with Cole, Heel, and Stanton, the Yankees really are going to need the Wellses, the Volpes, the Dominguez to step up.
mm,
Suddenly, Carlos Rodon is now a massive part of the team,
yeah. And
similar to his role last year, I guess. Because luckily, the Yankees in this situation they have Max Fried. If this
that
was last year, they would have been screwed.
and we talked about Rodon as like with the signing of Freed, we're like, oh, this could be good for Rodon because you almost hide him in the back half of your order, take a bit of that pressure off of him, and now it's just right back on him.
Yeah, his role hasn't changed at all, really. It's just
Yeah.
it's the same role as last year. I mean, it's pretty much the same rotation as last year now. If you just
Except you swap
Max
out.
Free, Garrett Cole, pretty
Yeah.
much that's it. You don't have Heel for a bit, but besides, I mean, Schmidt missed time, so it's kind of the same rotation now. You
And
hope they really need Max Free. In my opinion, he's probably the most important player in the team now.
yeah, and Schmidt is behind on his recovery. He pitched the other day, but they're saying that he's still behind.
Yeah, he's still supposed to pitch what game six? Is that what they're
Yeah,
saying?
I think
I
so.
think they've said that, so he'll be ready. But the first week of rotation is Carlos Carrasco going to start
He
a
could.
game? He might,
Yeah,
and that's a guy who, what is he 30? Is he almost 40?
I think he's 37. I looked it up the other day. I think
Yeah,
he's 37.
I
But
mean he just barely got a roster spot.
yeah, it might maybe Rodon opening day or something like that.
That's what it's sounding like Rodon opening day.
Last year we had Cortez out on the mound opening day.
Yeah, and then Freed will stay in the number two role just out of these you don't want to get those guys out of a
That
flow, so I don't
rhythm. Yeah.
care about that. And I guess the way the spring training starts are lined up, that he'll be the number two technically, even though he's the ace. He's the ace of the
Yeah.
team,
Yeah.
clearly. But yeah, I mean, I've seen some people I think were over exaggerating. The Yankees season's over. I don't. You can't go that far. It is March 13th. First off, if you ask me if this is the same team in the playoffs, do they have a shot to really do anything? Then no. But I don't expect this to be the same team in the past July. I
I mean,
expect them to help the team.
yeah, honestly, I feel like I was kind of part of that group overreacting. I feel like I always do.
I was a little too. Like
But
pure like if you were to tell me could this team win the World Series, you
oh
almost have to think no, but so much happens in a baseball 162 season.
yeah,
Aces get hurt. Like it happens.
I would say for sure I'm more of like the pessimistic type of fan where I always think about like what could go wrong, will go wrong. Maybe it's just because I'm a Jets fan. Like sometimes I think about it when I'm watching the Yankees and I'm like, oh, this is definitely gonna go wrong. And I'm like, wait, this isn't the Jets, it's the Yankees. Like this should go
Mhm.
right. But
Yeah, and I mean the people that are thinking we're gonna be like I've seen people think we only make the playoffs. If so, let's just say the Yankees are bad. They don't make the playoffs. That wouldn't be because of Gerrit Cole. Because Gerrit Cole, what he gave them last year was 17 starts, a 2 WAR. I think you would have expected similar to that, maybe a little more starts. But if the Yankees are like 82 and 80, that means so many of the other question marks went wrong.
that
So
means
that's my mindset with that.
that means Dominguez was probably a huge disaster out there. That
Volpe
means
didn't take a leap.
Hope he
Goldstrom
didn't
was
take a
horrible.
big
Like
lead.
all that stuff would have to happen.
Yeah, it means Wells probably didn't take a leap. We probably didn't fix our third base
Uh,
situation.
Now
So
the division might be tougher. The division might be tougher. I'll say that. I
yeah,
don't know if they're penciled in to win the American League East as they once were.
I
Um,
I
Vegas
think
only has them losing two less games.
I don't know if they were ever. I mean, again, this might be me being pessimistic about them, but I never thought it was like a sure thing that we were gonna win the AL East anyways.
Yeah, I mean that's an argument that it's just baseball is a sport where like you only something like again like if the Yankees don't win the division, is that because of Garrett Cole or other things?
I mean, it's
I
because of other things. It's definitely
of
Gerrit
course
Cole's a great player and everything, but
at
he
this point of his career in the regular season,
hmm,
he's not as impactful
as
as
he is.
like an ace. He's
If they lose the division by I don't know 2 3 games, yeah. But if I don't know, the Orioles or the Red Sox have
win
some,
100 games,
yeah,
then yeah,
and no.
that's not because of losing Gerrit Cole. Now it really hurts them for the playoffs. Like that,
Yeah,
you can't think. It's hard to think of the playoffs in March, but it totally does because he
yeah.
is awesome in the
Because
playoffs.
you can pencil him in every 3, 4 days.
Exactly, and he just
Get out of
could
here.
carry the team to a win at times. I saw positive news about Stanton. I saw a reporter say that they think he'll return at some point,
Okay,
which that is positive news to me.
that is positive. Any if because if we get Stan by September, we just need him for the playoffs, assuming we make the playoffs. So
Yeah, true, of course. Now to move on to some fun stuff to talk about, not injuries. Austin Wells it looks like if I had to guess, he's going to be the leadoff man. What do
yeah,
you think of that?
I don't love that. I wish we had more of a speedy guy at the leadoff spot, like Jazz and Volpe both provide a lot of power, and so does Wells. But I like Jazz and Volpe at the leadoff spot more, and Wells probably isn't the everyday leadoff guy, depending on the pitching matchup and everything. But I like Jazz or Volpe at the leadoff spot more, just because once you get them on, then the pitcher has to worry about them stealing a bag, and you have Aaron Judge or Bellinger at the plate. Like if Wells gets a single, then he's not a threat on the base pad. You're pretty much counting on Judge to drive him in on a home run.
Yeah, so Wells, he walks more than Volpe, which
Mhm.
is the guy that I think we wish was the leadoff man. And it doesn't seem like they want Chisholm. I think they want Chisholm driving guys in. And
Yeah,
is Wells like, is it the Kyle Schwarber comparison? Is that what the Yankees are going for?
maybe. I
Which I
heard you
think they
say that.
are.
I heard you say that the other day, and I didn't even think about that until you said it. But they kind of have similar stature, both
Yeah,
lefty.
and maybe Wells hits for more pop now.
Hmm.
And I mean, he has 3 home runs in spring training. I'm not sure the exact at bats, but it's definitely on pace for more than what he hit last year. 15 home runs. I only think he had like 15
Yeah,
last
I
year.
think he did. I mean, because he wasn't the everyday catcher.
Yeah, so I mean, if he's the leadoff guy, he hits 230, 30 home runs, walks a decent amount. I mean, I would take that.
Yeah, a lot of this is making me wish we just signed Torres to another 1 year deal.
That's it. I've thought about that. Definitely would have helped the team batting
They-
wise because he would have been playing over Cabrera because you assume they just would have done Chisholm at third, or maybe
And
they could have convinced Torres to go to third like they like
yeah,
Boone wanted to last year.
yeah, I think best bet would have been just because he signed a 1 year, $15 million deal with the Tigers. So they didn't like break the bank to get him. They didn't make any long-term commitment to him. So it's like, why, with all the problems the Yankees are having right now, why didn't they just do that? You could have, they probably would have kept him at second. I know they want Jazz at second, but it would have been better off than what we have now. And you could have just kept Torres at the leadoff spot or moved down in the lineup if you want Judge batting two and you want to do the flip flop.
I almost think the Torres divorce had more to do with the relationship with the organization.
Yeah,
Because in hindsight, fans were mentioned could they just bring Torres back when they weren't signing a third baseman, like
hmm,
kind of later on when Torres' market dried up. And even the comments you've heard both sides talk about, it seems like that relationship just ran its
yeah.
course. And
I
I think it
mean,
has more to do with that and defensive purposes, of course.
yeah, and defensive purposes, yeah. Yeah, it seems like the Yankees just didn't want to bring him back. And honestly, I like good for Torres for being like, I want to be somewhere where I feel respected and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I really think it's almost more to do with non-baseball reasons.
Yeah,
It just feels like that relationship just ran its course.
I
And I mean, if it was an unnamed, if his name was Joe Smith and it was the same stats, the same production, I wonder. It's an interesting theory
yeah,
if they would have just brought
especially
him back.
especially how hot he was in the playoffs and how he ended last year.
I mean, he
Like
was great. He was their leadoff hitter.
he just needs someone, I guess, to like light a fire under his butt a little bit.
I mean,
And
he's hit 2 home runs of ourselves in spring training,
yeah, yeah.
which is funny.
He had like
Um,
a double against us the other day, I believe.
yeah, I mean, hey, spring training. We'll see
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, that'll
Yeah.
be interesting when he returns in the regular season. I wonder the type of uh
Yeah.
cheers or boos he gets
I
from the
think he'll get a
crowd.
bunch of cheers. I think
I think so
especially
too.
especially depending on how the season's going, if the Yankees are playing poorly, I think he'll get a bunch of cheers because I think fans will be like we should have kept him. If
Yeah, and if we're
we
playing
don't have
good, I can see the same. I can see the same reason. Like,
yeah,
oh,
of
like
course,
whatever,
of
we're
course.
good. Yeah,
But if our
yeah,
third
I'll
base
probably.
if our third base situation is a total disaster, like even more fuel on the fire almost.
Hmm. And then honestly, do you think Dom Smith could be our DH? He's kind of been hitting well,
Yeah, I mean
which is kind of crazy.
that's gonna dry up real quick.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
I think Ben Rice will be the DH more.
yeah.
To
I
start the
think the
year,
Yankees like him.
I mean, Ben Rice kind of had a Linsanity run last year a little bit and then totally fell off. But I don't
I
know.
think the guy you might see play a lot more is Grisham, and Judge might DH half the
I
games.
also if Dominguez still has struggles in the field, I think you could shift Bellinger to left field, Grisham in center, and DH Dominguez. Because if he's hitting well but has these struggles in the field, you might as well just take like suck what you can out of him with the bat, and keep him
Well,
in the.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know about permanently them doing that, but
Uh,
what the DH platoon option is, you could just instead of giving guys a day off, they can DH.
DH,
That's
yeah.
what that gives you now. Goldschmidt can DH. Dominguez, if you want to give him a day off in the field, can DH.
And
You know,
The Yankees usually did that before until they signed Stanton.
Stanton.
Yeah,
That the
they
Stanton
always
just clogs that DH
yeah.
spot.
And it kind of made your lineup a little more versatile where it's like, oh, this guy needs a day off, but we kind of still want him in the lineup. And A-Rod a little bit towards the end was
Hmm.
a DH. When he came back from PEDs, he had that one really good year and he was only DHing. And they said that he was able to take his focus off the field a little more and just
I
hit.
think I think it's gonna be good for Judge and Goldschmidt to not play every day in the field
Yeah, I agree.
because last year, like it was a little worried. Like Judge was the everyday center fielder pretty much, and it was just like I hate thinking this, but like you're almost like, all right, let's give these guys a day off. You don't want to risk an injury. Now
Yeah,
you could load manage Judge a little more without taking the bat out of the lineup.
Judge did have these comments last year where he was saying, "Oh, well, my healthiest years have always been in center field." When people were like, "Oh, are you worried about playing center field? Like more wear and tear on the body, more running,
Uh,
playing there every day?" And he's like, "Well, actually, some of my healthiest years have been playing in center field."
I
So
wonder if that's just coincidence.
it's
That's got to
gotta be.
be because
Also,
like that just
also,
doesn't make sense.
if you think about it, I mean, it's mostly just with that toe injury, running into the walls. You're running into less walls out in center field because everything is in play unless you're running back into the wall.
That's true. You're not really running the walls as much, but I mean he's also just a better right fielder. It's not
Yeah.
even just the injury. Like he's one of the best right fielders in baseball.
Mm.
Defensive wise, and Grisham is a very good center fielder. So I mean, on the days if they're potentially seventh inning or later, I wonder if they do this a lot in a close game. They take Jason out and put Grisham in center. I mean
Yeah, for defensive
that
purposes.
yeah, that could look that's a good defensive lineup. I mean, I Bellinger is going to be the guy that Boone moves around all the time. I just had that feeling.
Yeah, he's gonna play everywhere in the outfield, first base sometimes maybe.
Probably. I mean, if you give Goldschmidt a day off, why not?
Yeah.
All right. Any more Yankees comments you have?
No, I think that pretty much sums it up.
All right. Let's do I do any voicemails this week?
Yep, we got a few.
All right. Yep. Let's get into them before I move on to NFL free agency, which we'll start off with the Jets first.
This is Chris from Rochester. I love your guys' true or false segment last week, so I got two for you. True or false? The Mets will have a better record than the Yankees. And my other one is true or false? The Jets are the second worst run NFL franchise behind the Cleveland Browns. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you for the call. Uh the Mets will have a better record than the Yankees. What do you think about that?
Ooh, I mean, it's definitely a converse. I think they're both going to be in that high 80s, low 90s area. It's going to be close.
Hmm.
I mean, the Mets just lost Alvarez. The Mets are dealing with injuries themselves, not as bad as the Yankees. Oh my, that's a tough one. I'm
Right
gonna
now,
go
I'm gonna go false.
false. I'm still gonna go false. I believe so. I don't think the Yankees will finish lower than second if they don't win the if the division.
Okay.
And I think the Mets could finish possibly third, and just the division's tougher.
I agree that those were the same points I was going to make. I think it's false. I think yeah, the Mets play in a tougher division. Uh, the Yankees probably going to beat up on Tampa, hopefully the Blue Jays. So we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully. And I mean, hope they got to play better against the Red Sox and Orioles this year.
Yeah.
But the next question. So first off, I'm not going to say the Browns are the worst. Historically, yes, they are. But this current regime, honestly, has been decent for them. Obviously, last year was a disaster, but I think that
Decent,
was more injury luck.
decent until the Deshaun Watson contract.
Yeah, okay. The Deshaun
And
Watts, of course.
and
That's
also Kevin Stefanski was kind of handcuffed with him because it obviously wasn't him keeping Watson in the game. It
of
was
course, yeah.
ownership
The
because
ownership.
they don't want to look dumb paying him that much money.
But ownership, so I'm gonna false
I'm gonna go
because
false
okay,
too.
if you go ownership wise, it's got to be Woody Johnson.
Yes, yes, of course.
But
But
if you go just front office wise, I think the Giants are worse.
Giants could be worse. You could argue right now, currently, the Bengals, the way that they're dealing with all these contracts, that they wait so long to
They're
pay these guys that they're gonna end up losing them. They're letting Trey Hendrickson
uh
seek a trade, and they're trying to
I'm
pay
trying to
off
think who else. Carolina until recently was looking really bad as well.
Carolina, Jacksonville,
Yeah, like
even
I
like
don't think the Jets are the worst. Honestly,
even,
the Jets have built some over the last couple years. They built some historically. They're up there and ownership wise there, but even Joe Douglas, I didn't hate all his moves. Like honestly, he kind of just they just couldn't find the quarterback position. That was
and
really it.
he drafted really well, and also like he kind of bent like he gave Rodgers way too much power.
Hmm.
That ended up costing Joe Douglas his job. Even like the Cardinals, you hear things about the way players are treated on those like player report cards and like that sort of thing.
I
So
mean, Arizona historically isn't great.
yeah,
The same teams historically stay bad. I don't know if you
that's
noticed that in
true.
sports.
And
It's
then
normally the owners that have the biggest. I think the Jets have a really bad owner.
yeah, and then you could also like look at points and times in a franchise, like when the Eagles gave all that power to Chip Kelly, or the Texans when
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien traded DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson, who was
Uh,
older, injury prone, like things like that. So
I also think John Mayer is just one of the worst owners currently. As he's gotten older, he has not aged well. And you know what? Jerry Jones got to be up there. That guy's been terrible
yeah,
recently.
we
And it's almost, I saw, I'm stealing this from Stephen A. and Skip, but I listened to their reunion little
uh,
podcast. They said, is Jerry going a little Biden in his old age? Because it's just like they don't spend. It's crazy.
I said that thing to you, I think in the
2015 was the
in the
last time
airport the other day, the last time they signed a player for over $6 million, and it was Greg Hardy.
for 6 million, right? That's
Yeah,
crazy.
2015, 10 years ago. And since then, the NFL cap has grown like over 130 million.
Yeah, I mean,
So
of course, yeah.
it's just like, it's not even the fact
It's
that they haven't signed a player for that much. It's like the way the cap has grown, and like $6 million for a free agent is not that much money.
yeah, they've only re-signed players pretty much. They
Yeah.
draft their guys and re-sign them, which
Mhm.
it's just last year was a really bad situation because they had Derrick Henry, they just didn't want him. Henry wanted to go there,
Yeah.
and it's which just looks. I mean, the running back market, the way Saquon and Derrick Henry changed the way we view running backs this past year, but
Yeah.
still, I mean, just they had Derrick Henry wanted to go to them, they said no.
Especially that price tag was not that much.
Mhm.
What was it,
Yeah,
$8 million or something?
uh-huh.
Something
Yeah,
crazy.
it was
So,
not much. But all right, thanks for the call. Let's move on to the New York Jets. So the Jets, they got their quarterback for the next 2 years at least. Justin Fields reunites with Ohio State teammate Garrett Wilson. I think Jets fans are all happy with this.
I
I
think
would
so too.
say.
They also signed his center from Ohio State.
Oh,
Uh,
I didn't realize that.
yeah, but I don't know if that guy will play because we have a good center already still. So Joe Tipman. Uh, I think that this move gives the most upside and out of the free agents in the quarterback market, I know just like us going to the University of Kentucky, there's a good amount of Illinois people, a good amount of Bears fans. And
Hmm.
I have a couple of buddies who are Bears fans who were texting me like, "Oh, that's such a great signing." They all felt salty about. I mean, you can't blame the Bears for making the move, but when
Yeah.
they kind of moved on from Fields for Caleb Williams, who was a generational talent, but seems like these guys thought that there was still a lot left in the tank with Justin Fields, and just like I said before, it's much better than going and signing like a Kirk Cousins or Russell Wilson, Carson Wentz, Marcus Mariota. There's still some untapped potential, and you're not handcuffing yourself to a long-term deal. It's 2 years, and there's kind of an out after the first year. The Jets will take on some dead
Hmm.
money if they have to get out of it, but all in all, this is an exciting signing for the Jets. I think it keeps Garrett Wilson happy-ish, depending on how Fields plays, but it's definitely a good like culture shift from what we had.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the first time in a while because before you had Rodgers, Wilson, Darnold, where it feels like the Jets they're doing a low risk thing because if this doesn't work out, it's not like those past years where oh my God, this is a disaster. They did the right bridge gap move, and they really haven't had one in a while. I mean, it's a little different with Rodgers because no one's expecting the Jets to be a contender,
Yeah.
but the Justin Fields is such an intriguing player. The way some fans, you would be convinced they're talking about God when they talk about Justin Fields.
Hmm.
I think some fans are crazy with him.
But especially Bears fans and Steeler fans who are like, we should have brought him back. We shouldn't have benched him for Russell Wilson. I kind of think, and we'll probably talk about this in a little bit, that the
Uh,
DK Metcalf move from the Steelers trading for him was almost like a last ditch effort to be like, hey, Justin, like, look what we're getting you. Like, come re-sign with us.
they wanted him, and
Yeah.
Fields. I don't blame Fields. I was mentioned to you earlier. I'm like, Fields has got to feel betrayed. Just what happened last year. He handled it well with the media, but deep down, he's like, if I go to the Jets, I'm the starter. It's
Hmm.
like this is my team for the next 2 years. With the Steelers, you don't know with that team. You just
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. And I kind of figured Sunday night that Fields was going to sign with the Jets just because I was like, if he was going to sign with the Steelers, don't you think it would have already been done at that point,
Yeah,
by late Sunday night?
there's always the leverage card,
Hmm.
but it's starting to feel that way. I agree.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about it. I mean, the kind of roster we have right now, you can't bring in a rookie quarterback almost with this roster. Like it's more built for a veteran. And it's not like the Jets are they could make the playoffs with Fields, but I don't think that they're going to set the world on fire and go on any sort of playoff run. But
But
I
that's not the point of the signing. Like
yeah,
that, the point. I think it's a low risk, really high potential move. You have those people that still think Fields could be a franchise quarterback, and well, I mean, Justin Fields had options. He chose the Jets.
hmm,
I mean, it was a joke that I feel like in January, every team that wants a stopgap quarterback, they want Justin Fields,
yeah,
and ultimately it came down to the Jets and Steelers, and the Steelers wanted him, and I wonder if the betrayal was part of it, but I like what Aaron Glenn and Moogie are doing so far, and they're creating a culture that just wasn't there before.
yeah, and maybe Fields could be one of these written off quarterbacks that ends up coming back and like showing the world that hey, like you uh gave up on me too early, like almost Geno Smith, Darnold, um, Mayfield, Jared Goff in Detroit. Like
Hmm.
this is where Aaron
True.
Glenn comes from. So Aaron Glenn
So
also,
moving,
sorry, go
we
ahead.
keep no, keep going, keep going.
Aaron Glenn also was in New Orleans, and New Orleans had got Drew Brees, who was kind of a ran off quarterback at the time in
Hmm.
San Diego. So
Yeah.
thing. He wasn't he they didn't he wasn't there during that time, but like, still same kind of deal.
All right. So moving on to the Giants. So the New York Giants, they haven't made the move at quarterback yet, but it's coming. They will sign. I would say a 95% chance it's one of Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers at this point to be their stopgap quarterback this year. um, them and the Steelers are kind of being handcuffed by Aaron Rodgers, who has yet again somehow gotten all the media on him, somehow has these teams bending down for him after having a disaster 2 years. I mean, I'm starting to think people are forgetting how this beginning of the year was for him with the Jets. And he has these two franchises bending their knees for him. I mean, it's crazy.
Also, Minnesota is still not out on him totally. Also, I saw a go ahead, what were you gonna say?
They're definitely a dark horse. I'm not ready. Like some people are trying to put him in the conversation. Just doesn't seem that way yet.
I I mean I said this to you in the airport the other day too. This is just complete speculation. If I was Aaron Rodgers and uh Minnesota was calling me, just like looking at that offense and with Kevin O'Connell, that would be the place I would want to go. I feel like that would give me the best chance to succeed with Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, going back to Aaron Jones.
Oh, I mean, I totally agree with you, and I think he might be waiting for that because why
Maybe.
is he not signed? Like he has a choice between two teams. Clearly, there's more to this story than just he's taking his time.
I saw a
I think,
picture. I saw a picture of him
yeah,
today
that picture of him.
on the beach, like wrapped up in a
Yes,
blanket with his earbuds in. I
I
don't
don't
know.
think he's in love with either the Giants or Steelers. I totally get the Giants. I mean, look, like the Giants are kind of been a mess. I've actually liked the free agency so far.
Yeah.
Um, but overall, like kind of my Stafford point, like why would Rodgers like why I kept saying why would Stafford choose the Giants? Rodgers, I mean, it makes a little more sense, but still, you'd think he'd choose the Steelers. But I don't think he's in love with the Steelers because what is he waiting for? That's
Rodgers
my point. The money is not an issue. I've apparently both teams are giving him the money demands.
Rodgers to the Giants makes sense to me only because it doesn't make sense almost, and Rodgers likes to do things that necessarily don't make sense just so he can like keep people talking about him. That picture of him on the beach, he had to have known what he was doing, going out there wrapped up in a blanket and his earbuds looking almost like sad or like he's contemplating what he's gonna do next. Like he had to have known what he was doing. People snapping pictures of him to put out on the internet, be like, "Oh my God, look at Aaron Rodgers contemplating his next move."
First off, why
He,
does Aaron Rodgers have plug-in headphones still?
I mean,
I noticed
he's one of those people who's
they,
like radiation or whatever it is from the Bluetooth, you know?
they weren't even AirPods. They were like the old plug-in
Yes.
headphones.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, I wonder if retirement is a legit possibility.
Maybe. He said that he wasn't gonna, well, he at least said this with the Jets, that he wasn't gonna drag this out with the Jets and
Dragging it out with the Giants and
keep
Steelers.
them waiting for an answer. So that has me speculating that it's not gonna be retirement, but he is heavily contemplating these two teams and still maybe waiting for the Steel or maybe waiting for the Vikings to come in and
Yeah.
more.
Look, so my thing is with I would rather Aaron Rodgers over Russell Wilson. However, the Giants are meeting with Russell Wilson tomorrow, and the Browns met with him today. So clearly, it's not. At one point, it seemed like it's Giants or nothing for Wilson. But if the Giants have a good, they have a basically a contract agreement with Russell Wilson. They're just waiting on Rodgers. They got to call him up tomorrow and be like, "Hey, yes or no?
Yeah.
We need to know what to do so we can move on."
Mhm. I
And
agree.
especially because I just don't feel like he's going to choose the Giants. I'm pretty pessimistic about it. I think he'll end up being a Steeler. Just makes the most sense to me.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he kind of maybe wants to go to the Giants.
I mean, I've seen some people like kind of hyping up the Giants, like from their free agency signings
Hmm.
and their offense. I don't know if I'm just like such a negative fan about them, but like I don't see the
Yeah.
hype they're kind of getting. Honestly, I did like their signings with Javon Holland
Hmm.
and I'm gonna say his name wrong, Adobu, the corner they just signed is his last name. But their defense definitely has gotten better, but I don't know. I wouldn't choose the Giants personally
You know,
if
defense has
I
gotten
were
better.
them.
Maybe he likes the idea of throwing to Malik Neighbors. I don't know.
Yeah, league neighbors, for sure. And then to finish off the Giants offseason before we get into another voice, so they also re-signed Darius Slayton, which kind of caught me by surprise.
Yeah,
And just
I feel like he's been pretty bad for them last couple of years, hasn't he? Or
he's like honestly like the talent's there.
okay,
It's been like 4 or 5 times where we thought he'd be off the Giants and he keeps coming back. Something crazy. All he has to do is average 750 receiving yards over the next 3 years to be second all time in receiving yards on the team. That's how long he's been on the Giants,
jeez. And
which is
he
crazy. But all right.
and it was a 3 year
Wait, you were
deal,
saying
right? Three,
3 year
three.
deal. So he caught Eli's last touchdown. He might be able to catch Arch's first touchdown. That's how long he's been.
That's crazy.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this next voicemail.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Big Apple Breakdown Show. I just want to call and really congratulate you guys on the signing of Justin Fields. Coming from a Steelers fan, you guys are getting a good one. I don't think he was given, all that sort of a shot in Pittsburgh. But, with the status of y'all's O-line and, the weapons you have, I think, having a running quarterback is pretty well. I think Gerrit Wilson is still a very viable fantasy option. If you just look at, DJ Moore's career year with Chicago, he was under Justin Fields. So I think, you guys are in a decent spot. I know you lost about everybody in free agency, but this field signing is good for the franchise, and I think, it might not start out as well as you guys are hoping, but I think it'll definitely settle in down the line. So I hope you enjoy him. Wish he was still a Steeler, but congratulations on the big signing.
Thanks for the call. The Jets did lose a lot of guys in free agency. They re-signed Sherwood, who was the middle linebacker. Salah, former safety, converted to middle linebacker, kind of like Fred Warner, the way Salah did that in San Francisco, did the same thing with this guy. Had a big breakout season for them last year. They re-signed him right before free agency, and they cut Mosley, which Mosley's been a staple of this team
Mm-hmm.
last like 6 years. Great leader. Uh, got a start in Baltimore, kind of brought like some of that mentality to the Jets, but sad that he never got uh to experience winning with the Jets. But yeah, uh Steelers did never give Fields kind of a fair shake. And I feel like like kind of like what we were saying before, how Bears fans and Steelers fans kind of fell in love with Justin Fields. This guy's never really seen Fields play what 4 or 5 games for them. He's like the Jets got a good one. So
Yeah, I mean, it's the fans just fall in love with Justin Fields for whatever reason. And I don't get it personally. Like I see the talent there, but I also see a lot of flaws in this guy's game.
yeah. Also, the thing he said about the Jets O line, the Jets O line wasn't as bad last year as people said. We have a lot of we have a good couple of pieces. We got Uh, Fashanu, he was a rookie last year, going in the second year. He's going to take over that starting spot from Tyron Smith. We lost Morgan Moses to the Patriots, who was a Jet, then was a Raven, Jet again. Just left in time with the Patriots. Elijah Vera Tucker, if he can stay healthy, and Joe Tipman has been a good center for us. So yeah,
All right, so sure, let's move on to some moves around the league. So the biggest quarterback signing was former Jet draft pick Sam Darnold went to Seattle, which um wasn't really a shock once it came out that they traded Geno Smith.
yeah.
Um I was kind of I'm kind of not in love with that deal, just me personally. It's a 3 year deal, I think about 105 million. I believe that's the right numbers.
I
Most
like
of it guaranteed.
I like the deal a lot. The Seahawks are in a weird spot, but just the way the quarterback market is, you're not paying him too much money. What, three? It was 3 years, 100 and what?
105 million. So still
So,
less than what Daniel Jones got from the Giants, which is
yeah,
crazy.
and
I think I don't know. Like these quarterbacks have fluky years, and I don't love giving Darnold. Like is Sam Darnold ever? I'm in the mindset where like I don't love paying quarterbacks unless they're like win you a Super Bowl or they are like top 10 quarterbacks. And I don't see that in Sam Darnold.
yeah,
I don't ever see that with him.
but also that price tag that they're giving him, $30 million is a lot of money, but just Justin Fields just got $20 million. Like the quarterback market is just not the same as any other position, you know?
Yeah, of course. I think
So
it's the years. It's so they're doing a 3 year guarantee to him. It's not like the Jones contract where the Giants had a team option after 2 years. I believe all 3 years are guaranteed, and it's I don't know. I'm kind of confused what Seattle's doing. You would think you add a big quarterback. Why not keep DK Metcalf?
yeah, I mean with Geno Smith also requested a trade, and I don't know. They're definitely in a weird spot trading away Geno Smith and DK Metcalf, and now they have JSN, and they're bringing in Darnold with him. It kind of makes you wonder, like, what next year will look like for them.
And now it's is
And
JJ the guy for Minnesota? Like after them losing
maybe
Darnold?
they and what's it called? The Seahawks also cut Tyler Lockett,
Yes.
so they
So I
cut
mean,
ties with pretty
obviously
good.
Jackson Smith, the Jig was awesome,
Yeah,
awesome
yeah,
player. But you would think you would like to keep DK Metcalf with that. But it's the receiver market's so interesting. Like these guys come up and then you cut them or trade them. But like the Rams, like they're getting rid of Cooper Cup. I think he's officially released, and then
yeah.
they got Devontae Adams, which Cooper Cup's such an interesting player when we're gonna look back historically. He's only had one other 1,000 yard season besides the awesome year he had
Hmm.
when he won the Triple Crown for so Devontae went to the Rams, which I think that's good for him. I think that's where he wanted to go.
Hmm. And you
And
like
then
we've seen this in past too, almost like AJ Brown when he just got traded from the Titans to the Eagles. Like, yeah,
it happens, yeah. It's the receivers are moving a lot. I wonder where Cup will go. You know what team I swear is rumored to get any receiver that's available, but they haven't? The Patriots.
yes.
I thought they would get DK Metcalf.
They're even rumored. There's some rumors that Vrabel wants to trade for AJ Brown because it was a GM that traded AJ Brown from the Titans to the Eagles, and Vrabel there was a it was during
That's
the
not happening.
it's not gonna happen, obviously, yeah. But it was
Yeah.
the draft, and there was a video of Vrabel like looking all confused and like maybe a little pissed off, like why did we just do this? So
Who did they draft? What was his name? That receiver, that the pick I'm forgetting his name. He
who?
has not turned out. He was a first round
Oh,
pick.
N'Keal Harry.
No, it wasn't N'Keal Harry. I'm talking about the Titans for the AJ Brown trade.
Oh, Burks, Traylon.
Yeah, Traylon Burks. Like he has not turned out at all, and
I
that's
remember.
they
I
replaced
remember
him with.
they were talking in like training camp, going into his rookie year or second year. They were like, yeah, he's out of breath too fast and like he needs to sit down and take a break. It's like you're in the
Ha,
NFL.
have
Can't,
you seen the meme when somebody signs or gets traded and they're referred to as a former first round pick? They're awful.
yeah,
Like that's so true.
yeah,
Anytime you see a trade, it's like for the former first rounder, you know they're bad.
yeah. You know that they didn't work out or whatever. And even like there's some guys. I don't know if it's like in someone's secondary or something, like late first round, we're like, who's that? Like, what, that guy's
Uh-huh.
a first rounder? So
Yeah. DJ Reed went to the Lions.
he did, and the Jets filled that up with Brandon Stevens, who's
Uh-huh.
more he was his rookie year he played safety, and then the last couple years he's played corner. He's also way bigger than DJ Reed. DJ Reed was kind of like he was 5'9", like
Mhm.
small. This guy's 6'1", bigger. And DJ Reed kind of quit on the Jets last year. Like it was before the Week 18 game. He was saying, "Oh, I just can't wait to hit free agency." So he was a great player 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
Even last year was a good player, but you just don't want to have that kind of mindset. in your locker room.
And then Joey Bosa went to the Bills, which that threw me off a little bit. I thought he was going to join his brother
I
in
did
San
too.
Francisco,
I did too. That
who
good.
who just had a disaster of an offseason. They've lost so many players. It's ridiculous. I think their window it might be closing.
Yeah, they lost a couple linebackers.
They
Uh,
traded Debo.
yeah, trade Debo, and I don't know. I like that signing for the Bills, but also it's not about Joey Bosa's talent. It's about his availability almost. He
Uh-huh.
seems to not be able to stay on the field. So it kind of feels like I know Joey Bosa signed for a 1 year deal, I believe, but it kind of feels almost like the Bills going out and getting Von Miller. They way overpaid him for too many years and all that, but just someone who was kind of in the back end of his career.
Do you know what move I loved? Laramie Tunsil getting traded to the Commanders.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
great move for them. I'm surprised Houston traded him. He's awesome. He's one of the best in the
and
league.
yeah. Uh,
And
I remember with Miami, he wasn't all that great, and then the Texans traded for him, and he became one of the best
uh-huh.
tackles. Texans like it was during the Bill O'Brien era, way overpaid for him seemingly, and
Yeah, it wasn't a good deal.
tackles.
People thought it wasn't a good deal, and he turned
Yeah,
into a great player.
hmm.
I mean, of course, he went viral for his draft day
Yeah,
video way
yeah.
back then. Yeah, if you know, you
Gap.
know. Look it up
Yeah,
on your own time. Yeah.
I feel like if that happened
Um,
nowadays, people
Bell.
wouldn't. What? He did fall. He
Here,
was going to be the first overall pick. I feel like if that happened today, people wouldn't be as scared away from them.
yeah, it wasn't early social media, but it was still like that time where like anything that got leaked could
I think
really
it was
hurt
like
you.
I think it was like 2013 maybe.
It was close to a decade. You're definitely right.
That's still early social media-ish, you know?
Kinda, yeah. Not it wasn't what it is today.
Yeah, yeah, of
Still.
course.
Nowadays, yeah, I feel like stuff gets leaked and no, these guys it doesn't even matter
And
anymore.
also like weed wasn't legal in mo pretty much anywhere, maybe California
Then,
at
yeah,
the
you're right.
time. So it's definitely like way less stigmatized, I guess. So,
Where do you want to see Cooper Cup go?
hmm, maybe Buffalo?
I would like to, I could see Buffalo. I've seen people say Seattle for him.
Yeah, they
I feel
armed
like
another weapon.
I feel like he'd want to join a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, maybe I don't know if the Ravens can pull this off. Maybe Baltimore?
Yeah, I mean they signed Baltimore just signs these receivers a couple years late. They just signed
They
DeAndre
do.
Hopkins.
Yeah.
Just what they did it with
Oh,
Odell 2 years ago.
and they did it with Des Bryant. You remember that?
Yep. Exact. They always sign these guys too late. Like they still you have to get Lamar true number one. Stephon
Even
Diggs and Amari Cooper are free
yeah.
agents too. They're
The
kind of
Ravens
washed.
also done that with Michael Crabtree, I believe. Maybe that was Oakland.
Oh, yeah, back in the day, they've
He
done it.
believed.
That was a while ago.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Um, they need, yeah, I would like to see him get a legit number one with Lamar. I mean, I like Zay Flowers, but
Mm.
I don't know if I'd like to see him get a little more talent, but I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
they
feel like
will
the
because they
Ravens.
added Hopkins.
Yeah, they signed Hopkins. I feel like the Ravens haven't had like a real number one dependable wide receiver I mean, Mark Andrews kind of had been that.
Yeah,
So,
and
but
then Evan Ingram went to Denver, which I think that's a good spot for him. They needed a tight end. I was kind of shocked he got cut by the Jaguars, to be honest with you.
yeah, they just needed to free up some money or
Yeah. See any other moves you want to talk about?
no, I think we pretty much have covered everything. The Geno Smith trade, it's kind of funny how like I feel like there's so many strings in that are tied back to the Jets. Geno Smith, obviously the former Jet,
Yeah.
Pete Carroll, former Jets head coach, and the third round pick that they used to trade was the third round pick the Jets traded to the Raiders in the Devontae Adams trade. So I feel like that's fun. That's like a funny little like thing in that trade.
Yeah, that's interesting for sure. And then it led to Sam Darnold too, which yeah,
Yeah,
that's a little
and yeah,
interesting.
it led to Sam Darnold going to
Yeah.
the Seahawks. So
So your closing thoughts, who do the Giants sign as a quarterback? Where does Rodgers go? Just your guesses.
Giants are gonna sign Russell Wilson.
I'm
And
on with that. If I had to bet money, I'd go there.
what you say?
If I had to bet money, I'd do that. I'd
Okay.
Wilson to the Giants.
And I I don't think Rodgers. See, I think Rodgers goes to Minnesota over uh, Pittsburgh, but I think he wants to go to Minnesota or New York. I don't know why. I don't see him playing for Pittsburgh.
Interesting. I'm gonna guess Rodgers goes to the Steelers overall, but
I think Pittsburgh makes the most sense because it's the most stable organization out of those three, one of the most stable in the NFL. And for that reason almost, I feel like Rodgers doesn't go because the last 2 or 3 years, I feel like he's been so unstable, like in his situations almost.
that's
That
fair.
makes sense.
Yeah, hopefully this comes soon. I just hope he makes up his mind. So guys like these teams can move on that don't get him. Russell Wilson could find a home pretty much. He's kind of waiting on him. He doesn't have to, but
Yeah.
kind of is a direct effect.
He doesn't have to, but he kind of does
Yeah,
in a sense, especially if it's the Giants.
yeah, he has to wait if it's the Giants. My last thing is I don't think retirement's out of the question. I just don't.
Yeah.
That's my hot take with this. But
I see. I think it is out of the question just because, and also, I mean, we never know because it's Aaron Rodgers, but I feel like he would have made that decision by now. And it
yeah,
seems like he definitely wants to play because when he went to meet with the Jets, he pleaded with them to bring him back.
hmm
So maybe just like looking at these context clues, I feel like he is definitely coming back in some form.
yeah. Well,
So I don't
we're
know.
all waiting on you, Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers. Once again, even at 41 years old, is 41 years old? He's
yeah,
42
41,
now.
41, I believe.
41 years old. He's still doing this. So we're waiting on you.
I
Anything
mean,
else?
yeah, no, I mean, it started when he was 39, so the waiting
Yeah.
on him with the Jets 2 years ago.
hmm
And even when he went on Pat McAfee to announce that he wanted to play for the Jets 2 years ago, he was like, he almost, I feel like he almost like talks down to people. He's like, I've made it known that I plan to play next year and I plan to play for the New York Jets, acting like everyone should have already known that, even though it wasn't reported by anything, So
hmm
he does, in a sense, like talk down to people and make it when he's talking, like what he's saying, he almost makes it seem that his opinion is fact and what he thinks is fact, and is like, how do you not already know that? You
Do
know?
you think he does the Pat McAfee thing again, or it's going to be a Schefter tweeting it?
I think it's gonna be a Schefter tweeting it because
That's what I hope.
just because it's different in the sense in his last situation, he was under contract with the team and he was saying that he wanted to be traded to the Jets. And in this situation, he's a free agent, so he's going to go in and sign with whatever team he signs with, Just because
hmm
it's just a different situation. So,
All right. Is that it?
yeah, I think we covered everything.
All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week when we get in the NCAA tournament.
Yes,
Exciting
sir.
times coming up. Hopefully, the
Sure.
Giants have their quarterback by then.
Yes, sir. Like, comment, subscribe, follow us on our social media. Thank you for watching.